Soldiers, sailors, airmen and women enlist in the armed forces for many reasons, including a sense of duty, patriotism, the adventure, travel, and adrenaline. When service members are injured or wounded and can no longer perform their military duties, they quickly find themselves removed from their team, no longer serving the purpose for which they trained.
I came back from Afghanistan in 2013, and it was kind of a trial and error of finding out, after the military, what's next in life.
Motorsports offers an opportunity to regain that sense of identity within a safe, fast-paced team environment, providing a renewed sense of purpose. Like in the military, in motorsports, the goal is in accomplishing the mission, winning as a team, collectively celebrating the successes and supporting teammates through the losses. Operation Motorsport also offers virtual engagements and recovery opportunities through an iRacing league, engaging beneficiaries in a safe, competitive environment from the comfort and safety of their home. Operation Motorsport believes in the power of team, identity, and purpose.
Hello, this is Jason with Operation Motorsport. We'd like to introduce you to some of our beneficiaries who were active during the GT World Challenge SRO race at New Orleans Motorsport Park this past weekend.
This weekend I've been over here with Race Control, and it's basically been seeing behind the curtain, like the Wizard of Oz kind of thing, kind of get to peek behind the curtain and see all the stuff that's actually happening and what makes all these things on the track actually work, essential thing. And it is like being in a TOC, a Tactical Operations Center, in a deployment scenario, surprisingly. So you're in there and all these screens, all this activity, things are going 100 miles an hour, and everybody is juggling 7 things at once. Whenever there's any sort of race event, whether it's just laps that people are doing or if it is an incident that's happening during a race or something like that, all of the things that happen that we see manifest themselves in terms of a race. These are things, and these are all the people who are pulling the strings and pulling the levers to make it all happen. So Operation Motorsport is all about having a team identity and purpose and kind of restoring that for people who left the military like myself and no longer really have that sort of source for that. And this is a way to this has been a way for me to reinvigorate that kind of same part of me that otherwise I don't really get. It doesn't really scratch that itch. But it's meant a lot. It's meant a great deal to me to actually be able to kind of activate that part of my own brain and that part of my own self that otherwise is just kind of going dormant.
On Remembrance Veterans Day weekend, November 2022, Operation Motorsport is returning to Anglesey Circuit, Wales, United Kingdom to compete in the 12-hour Race of Remembrance. This event allows our beneficiaries to compete as a team, shoulder to shoulder, with other veterans and racers. We want to use this opportunity to honor your hero service. And for a $25 donation, we will place your hero's name on the hood of our race car. 100% of the donations received will be used to support our Race of Remembrance operation. Help us honor 500 heroes and donate today.
They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn them. at the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Podium Esports coverage of the third round of the fifth season of the Operation eMotorsport iRacing League, live from iRacing's virtual Canadian Tire Motorsport Park in Bowmanville, Ontario, Canada. I'm your host, Rachel Wyford, joined tonight by my colleague Joshua Lee, and Josh is also my producer tonight, using cameras created by the great Dougie Beard. Welcome to this storied Canadian track here. We come here a lot from multiple different series, but this is definitely one of my personal favourites on the Canadian side of the border, and this track is a beauty. FIA Grade 2 circuit. It hosts, of course, most famously, Camping World Truck Series, of course, or whatever they're calling it these days. I usually forget, but a track that is running through the beautiful Bowmanville countryside, and it is course 32 pit stops tonight, so we'll have some overlapping if we have a big field. 10 turns, 2.46 miles in length, and it's really up and down. Lots of elevation changes. Weather conditions here are pretty standard to what we'd expect, and these guys just out in qualifying. They have 4 laps. We'll be seeing those in order in just a moment. Josh, this track, people either love it or hate it, I think.
And this track is one of the most unique road courses that you can ever see. I mean, not that too terribly long of a front straightaway. I mean, it's very sweeping opening sector to begin the lap. Then you go down to a tight hairpin, then down one of the longest straights in all of road courses. So it's an interesting one to say the least, but I would be remiss if I didn't say that this track is known for creating some high intensity moments. I mean, I think back to the NASCAR Truck Series coming here into the side-by-side finish between Cole Custer and John Hunter Nemechek that everybody knows and loves from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, very much so. And this place, it really does lead to a great racing for GT cars like these. And of course, if you're not familiar with the Operation eMotorsport series, do not forget that we have multiple different classes in this race tonight. 3, in fact, and 2 different cars. We have, of course, the Pro class. They must be competition license holders, both past and present in IMSA, SRO, CTC, or other sanctioning bodies, and an iRacing road license over 1900. Then we have the Open class. They were, of course, blue for pros. Open, that's anyone with a D class and up, serving military members or veterans not involved in Operation Motorsport programs, any staff member, volunteer, or supporter of Operation Motorsport. And then with the guys who are all here to support, the beneficiary class. These are enrolled in Operation Motorsports programs, and their participation is covered, of course, for them by the USO and Recaro. So it's great to see those guys in here, of course. These are all people that this fantastic organization is helping. And who are they? Well, Operation Motorsports is a veteran-led and operated not-for-profit based in Brighton, Ontario, and Raleigh, North Carolina. They serve Canadian and American service members and veterans, and were founded on the basis of 3 simple words: excite, engage, and empower. The premise is to engage ill and injured service members and veterans affected by military service through motorsport activities to aid in their recovery and rehabilitation. To find out more, visit operationmotorsport.org. And it's operationmotorsport.org. Well, we are going to be in for a real treat tonight. Qualifying is still underway here on the track. We've got a lot of those times set already, and it's pretty quick up in our GT3 class, which is, of course, your pros tonight. Then we have the GT4 cars being driven by our beneficiaries in open classes. That'll be an interesting one to see how that evolves for us. But looks like Joshua, Liam Rosicka's up on pole. Tyler Guillemette at the moment, Parsons and Gonzalez are top 4 with Joe Stiffel in 5th. Looking pretty tight up there.
And Rosittis with a really, really good lap, 1:13.837, as Taylor Parsons looked like they just came across the line and they were able to improve a little bit, 1:14.182, but still not enough to catch up to Rosittis at the front of this field, and a great, great lap for him when it comes to qualifying. And then looking back, Jesse Elliott, we've been talking about him all season long, and that number 25 in the open class, he currently sits top of the board there. And then Adam Poppenhaus for the beneficiaries sits at the top of that class. And of course the open and beneficiaries all under the GT4 ladders, so we've seen those GT4s racing pretty close like we have all season long so far.
Yeah, very much so. So it's going to be, of course, a little bit more time left before we get going with this one. But this track, do we think we're going to have any major issues around here, Joshua? Of course, lots of elevation changes. Turn 5A and 5B, though, has to be the real question here.
Yeah, I think that is the toughest corner on this course. And I mean, compared to a track like, say, Interlagos or any of those other more technical tracks, this track isn't really that technical. It is still very difficult to get right. If you want to be fast around here, it's very difficult to do, but just logging laps is one of the simplest ones, so I don't think we'll see too many issues. But I think you're right, Rachel. 5A, 5B is where these drivers are going to get tripped up, and it's so easy to get tripped up there with it not only being a very, very harsh hairpin corner, but also being off camber as well. Not going to help anything.
Yeah, absolutely not. I think the big part of it really is that you are descending into the corner, and it is a tightening double apex, really. It's not really two, it is one corner realistically, but you're descending down quite a big dive into a heavy braking zone through a tightening corner. The entry to 5A, much wider. 5B, much tighter and slower. The exit you get from 5B, though, is a huge thing, as it sets you up for the Andretti straight, which doesn't follow the conventional logic of, you know, outside, track out, or track in, apex, track out again. You do basically run up the entire right-hand side of that thing because of the elevation being more gentle. But of course then, sometimes we get some real kerfuffles in 8 and 9 towards the very end of the lap here, so it can be a very divided lap. There's also a bump right on the apex of turn 2 to watch out for. It's one of those fun ones that just sneaks up on you. If you hit it in the right way, your car is going bye-bye.
Taking a look at Josh Schneider for the beneficiary class coming across the line. All but now looks to be 5 drivers who have not put in a time in qualifying. Everybody else putting in a time, and Liam Rosittis still sits top of the board as a handful of drivers tow their way back into the pit lane in the normal scheduled qualifying time. About to conclude here in about less than a minute, but making the session, they set qualifying to a lengthy 50 minutes, but it will be advanced once everybody's good and done and the 8:10 rolls around. That's the normal qualifying ending time.
Yep, certainly will be, and we'll have to see how that one plays through. But with qualifying coming up to an ending, it's going to set us our field here in just a moment. We'll give you that rundown once we have it finalized and official. But of course, we'll be racing for 30 minutes around here, and we believe there is going to be a forced pit stop based on how fuel has been set, which of course will definitely make things a little bit more interesting for the drivers. Now, we know there is a slight limit, but I believe it's been made a bit more critical, so we'll have to see if that plays a role in tonight's one. That's Mason Smotherman there, one of the fast guys there in the open class. His brother up in the pros, but he isn't running tonight from what I can see, which is probably a good thing for some of those guys. He's gone from the open class right up into the pros, Joshua, and already competing for the wins.
Yeah, he has not stopped. He's not slowed down getting moved up in class, and it showed that he really deserved to be in the pro class after all. And as we take a look at his brother Mason Smotherman on the track, he sits in third right now in the GT4s and second in the open class. Solid time at a 1:22.954, and we got the word they were getting about 3 more minutes to qualify about a minute and a half ago. So I'd say about 90 seconds really left on that clock for these drivers to get their laps in. But for the most part, it seems like everybody just about has gotten their laps in, as Ed Nelson, Porsche 911 GT3R comes into the pit lane. Martin Wallace is in, Dan Fendick, and I believe that is going to be just about everybody, with times across the line and times coming in for qualifying.
I think it is, and we'll hopefully get a chance to go to our starting order now. First up for your pro class, it's going to be Liam Rositkis up there on the pole. Tyler Guillemette in second, with Taylor Parsons in third. A little glitch there. Noah Gonzalez in fourth. Rodney Campbell fifth, with Ed Nelson in sixth. Joe Stiffel in 7th, with Jake Steinbrink 8th, Scott Andrews 9th, and 10th, Martin Wallace.
Justin Burkhalter is going to be P11, Dan Fendick P12, with Jason McSpare and Jesse Elliott, Adam Poppenhouse top 15, Mason Smotherman, Greg Meismer, Tyler Reed, John Winker, and Thomas Outson, the top 20.
First is open classes, Brian Winker with the beneficiary Brock Hogan and Brian Knight behind him, Papa Knight there, with open class Val Asieno in 24th, Rick Haslett and Charles Bochelle, Jake Porter in the 27th spot. The beneficiary is Josh Schneider and Philippe Chartier there, 28th, 29th, with David Holly in 30th place. And those final cars coming up right now, Elliot Whitfield, Joshua O'Connor, and Chris Ramirez from the beneficiaries. I don't think Chris is actually driving as usual. And last but not least, Richard Lanning from open. So we're going to have a full pace lap here, Josh, which means we have a long way to go around this track, but it'll give us some time to point out some of the corners and how they're really going to behave when this thing comes down to it, as we get the last of our gridding drivers here. But it can really be quite an involved track. For a short lap, it does seem to really require attention, I think is the best way to put it.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough track to really keep focus on, because I mentioned how easy it kind of seems as a track from the outside, and relatively from inside the car, it's easy to get around. It's not really easy to get right, and you need a lot of focus in order to get it right, because it's deceptively tricky. I mean, you need to know when to get on the power. You need to know how much power to use when you're on that throttle, and that takes a good amount of focus around this course. You can't just kind of lay back and let everything happen.
Not at all. No, you cannot. So that will, of course, make things a bit more spicy for our drivers in this one, but we'll get them pulling away in just a second here. Good to see some Mercedes there on the front row. My favorite of the car brands. In fact, the first, wow, actually quite a lot of them. The first 4 are Mercedes, as the Porsche safety car will pull away now, leading our cars on this lap. And turn 1 coming up here. This is a long sweeping right, and relatively simple corner. You're just going to watch out for the curbing on the inside here and that pit exit line there. That can be a tricky pit out, actually. But the real setup here is crossing over to the outside quickly as you set up for turn number 2. In fact, we'll see where that bump is in just a moment, but it's just past that dark patch you see, right where that road divots into the left there. You'll find if you catch that in a really high downforce car, that can bounce you right off the track. But it'll come through 2, and then you have to, of course, set up across. Back again in these sweeping big corners into 3. 3 relatively simple. It's a straight, nearly 90-degree corner here, winding round. Really a late apex corner there for a good fast setup out onto the straight here. We'll come out underneath the Continental Bridge, and you have to be right over to the left here. You're almost apexing just under the bridge as you track out and try and keep that car tight into the left here, Josh, to get into 5A and B.
Yeah, as you can see, the harsh downhill left and right back uphill and to the right. This is one of the parts of the track. We keep mentioning 5A and 5B, and that's for decent reason. I mean, when you go through that corner, it's harsh downstairs to the left, and then you have to go upstairs, right back over to the right, off camber through the middle of that apex, and then plant the car for another tight right-hander on the exit of it. It is not easy to get right, and luckily these drivers have a little bit more grip and a little bit more power than the NASCAR Truck Series counterparts. It is especially difficult to get it right with those stock cars.
Yeah, absolutely is. I know that one myself. I've driven here so many times in a stock car. It's a blast. You will end up finishing this race sweating, though, I will tell you that now. It's a heavy, stressful experience getting around here in one of those, but in the GT cars, considerably easier. Considerably easier. As we come through 7 into 8, 9, and 10. Or 8 into 9 into 10 here. Pace car will pull off, leaving the field at the control of Liam Rosickas and, of course, Jesse Elliott for the open and Adam Hoppenhaus for beneficiaries. Field is theirs, and they're picking up pace already. Green flag, we're away racing. Good jump by Rosickas and Parsons. Guillemette left hanger on the outside there as behind them. Wow, they've already gone in your open and beneficiary class, but I'm pretty sure that is Elliott out front of Hoppenhaus as they're running down towards turn 1 and 2. Back at your top end of your field with the pros. Blasting through 2 into the setup for 3. Everyone clean and clear so far through these first tricky sections. Nothing going wrong towards the rear. Couple of cars wide. I think we had, big wobble for David Holly. He got on the grass on the left and then onto the grass to the right, coming right across the racetrack there, but managed to get it back under control and running again. Pros through 5A and B right now as we come up towards the first time along the Andretti straight here. Big blast up the hill. One of the few places you can really relax on this racetrack here, and one of the best passing opportunities into 7 at the end, Joshua.
We're going to go on board with Taylor Parsons as he sits waiting. Does he go for the move? No, he doesn't. That Andretti straight might be one of the best opportunities for these drivers to use that slipstream, as we see it going a little bit wide as they tried to get slowed down for the second to last corner there with Taylor Parsons, and he outbraked himself just a little bit too much. He lost 5/10 there, now down to 6/10, and last time by Liam Rosickas setting a blazing fast time of a 1:18.571 for an opening lap. That is pretty good, as now the gap for the lead sits under 6/10. They go back through the first sector.
It certainly is. We had a retirement from Val Asieno. Not sure what happened to her, but taking a quick look back, did we have any issues? I don't think we did. Val was 24th overall, pulled into pit road. Car had rear damage. Oh, it was a crash coming into 5A. Didn't get it locked up properly. Got off onto the left, onto the grass. Possibly a technical issue, actually. Looking the way they swerved off the track there. So, unfortunate for them, but we'll keep it going here as we get focused back towards our leaders, of course, running through the lap. Up towards the sharp end there, we'll see them. It's Rosickas, Parsons, Guillemette, Campbell. Looking back towards the beneficiaries, though. Oh, big spin in 5B. That was, looking at the cars there,
Smotherman.
89 car. Yeah, that was Mason Smotherman, who just decided Tokyo Drift time.
Try and grab that replay in just a moment, but weird wreck for Mason Smotherman. I mean, we definitely don't see Matt Smotherman really make mistakes that often, but we also don't see Mason Smotherman make that many mistakes. Wondering if we saw just a little bit of contact there, as he now sits about halfway through the GT4s, but out in front, it's still Jesse Elliott kind of dominating this GT4 field.
It was him and Adam Hoppenhaus dominating. They're both really broken away here from the rest of that field. Huge gap now for those guys, as really the only competitor with them is Greg Meismer, a little bit further back for beneficiaries. But Mason, from what it looked like, he got his wheels on the dirt on the outside of 5A, right on the track out point before you turning in for 5B, and the back end just came around with that dirt providing very little traction, spinning up those rears, unfortunately, that rear engine car. Really unbalanced pretty quickly. We'll show you that here. Coming down here, nice and easy through. Tracks out wide, gets some of that dirt, and round the back goes. Really unfortunate timing there. Solo incident. Safe rejoin, important of course, but back to the actual live action. The leaders from the beneficiaries going through 5A and B right now. Your leaders overall coming through turn 10 to cross the line for lap number 4 onto 5 here, in fact.
Still Liam Rosickas setting the pace, and 4 minutes down. Of course, 30 minutes total in this race. Going to equate to about 25 laps here, Rachel, which is Definitely not the longest race I've ever seen at Mosport, but definitely it's not going to be a sprint race. But so these drivers will have to be a little bit patient on the course. We talked about the forced pit stop due to the amount of fuel. I'm wondering if we'll see similar to what we saw at Road America, which was a lot of drivers dipping into the pit lane on the last lap, or if we see something like Sonoma, where a leader's pushed across the start finish.
We certainly might indeed. We'll have to find out what will occur from that, but yeah, we'll have to. I hope we won't see a repeat of that. As much as it was amazing sportsmanship, we don't really want to see people being pushed across the line here. We might be a little bit better with this being a shorter lap time, but it does mean there's a lot of off the gas time, so it might actually stretch a little bit further here, perhaps, Joshua, compared to somewhere with a lot more on gas time at a flat out track. One car putting in there, we can just see. It'll be from your open class, I believe, as leaders come through yet again. A little bit further down, it's still Poppenhaus and Meismer. Meismer keeping Poppenhaus honest this time. He's closer than we've seen the guys in the previous couple of rounds. We might have a challenge here for the win in this one for the beneficiary class. Behind them is Thomas Utzon from the open. Tyler Reed, next one, beneficiary back is Brock Hogan with John Winker 2 cars back from him. And then it's Papa Knight down in 23rd overall. To see what happens in terms of their places as this goes on. We have retirements from Dan Fendick and also from Joshua O'Connor. Beneficiary for Joshua O'Connor there, unfortunate for him. But coming on now, Josh, it's really a race of attrition. He's holding on here, is trying to keep his laps in, and I love that USO paint scheme, by the way. The shark mouth, love it.
That is a very, very sharp scheme. We'll get some better shots of that one as well. Oh, yeah.
Haha, love it. Very P-51 Mustang, one of my favorite planes. But, some traffic coming through 8 and 9 for some... Oh, we got a top driver after 5, Guillemette. Oh, he's sliding back on the track. No, contact. Oh, problems for Guillemette there. Coming through 8, 9, and 10. And it was initiated on a Oh, he had to go wide. There was a lap car, the 33 there, who was sitting wide. Right on the racing line. He had to go wide round him, which of course tracked him out too far, caught the grass, got sideways, couldn't stop himself, rejoins, and that lap car punts him and puts him in the wall. Unfortunate.
Oh, and there it is. Right off goes Guillemette as we take a look at the replay. And oh yeah, the GT4, admittedly, for the GT4, he was coming very, very fast through the grass, and yeah, there was nowhere for that GT4 Porsche to go. I believe that might have been Elliott Whitfield. Let's see if we got a replay.
I think it was Snyder in the 33. We'll watch that replay now in just a second, catch what happens here.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, we'll see here. Oh, yeah, no way to avoid that at all. Now, super slow on the actual racing line. Oh, we got another incident actually a little bit further up. I think that's actually Snyder again. It is. Is this a solo incident in 5B? I'm going to rejoin that. It is. It's exactly the same as Smotherman. Got wide, got round, did some drifting, and held it on the apex. So that's a good one there. Unfortunate day for him. It's really not been a fantastic one. But sometimes those are the rolls. As we have another car off actually outside of turn 1. 78 there. That is Whitfield, who's, I believe, had a solo incident in turn 1. I think they in fact did, yeah. Just went off into the barriers and hit that. Unfortunate for them. Up towards the sharp end, we're seeing some real lapping happening now with Ruzickas dealing with traffic here in a fairly hefty manner. The overspeed difference between the GT3s and 4s is huge, we're seeing, as they're trying to pass here through this traffic. And it's taking some real brave moves. We're going to see, I think, a little bit more conflict through this one. The speed difference is massive in terms of their ability to brake and accelerate out of these corners differently.
We'll go on board with Liam Rutsidis as he tries to navigate his way through all of this traffic, and it's proving to be very, very difficult to do. And I mean, we talk about everywhere how when you have multi-class racing, admittedly you're gonna have slower traffic if you're in the faster cars. Here they happen to be the GT3s, but I think here it might be a little bit worse because think about it. The only long straightaway that you have is gonna be that Andretti straightaway on the back straight. Everywhere else is going to be short chutes leading up into braking zones, which, unless you're willing to go around the outside, or, ooh, a GT4 is off there. Brock Hogan, yes it is, in the 58, but unless a GT4 is willing to straight move out of their way, you're going to have to either go the long way around or wait till the back straightaway to make that move. I mean, we see Liam Radzidis making quick work of these lappers by being a little bit more aggressive and trying to get around them on the short chute.
Yeah, it's really the option you've got to go for in this case, just with how it's going to end up playing in terms of speeds we're dealing with, but those are the breaks. Multiclass racing, it's about how you can pass and be passed. As because bigger gap now over Parsons, that's widened up significantly. Parsons and Campbell pretty close together, along with Gonzalez there as well. Elliott, bigger gap now over Poppenhaus, and the gap between him and Meismer has widened as well here, but we are now, what is it, 10 minutes into this race, or a third of the way through. We're starting to see major lapping occurring, and bigger separation between our drivers, so we're going to keep an eye on how that does play down. A bit of side by side a little further down the field, the 58 near the 59, I think. Oh, the 89, sorry. That's Mason Smotherman and Rick Haslett racing around each other there. Brock Hogan has just gotten past, no, Haslett, yeah, Brock Hogan got past Haslett. It's Mason Smotherman ahead of those two. Smotherman trying to recover, but there's a busy part of the track down here around Hogan and Haslett, Reed, Bushell, Knight, and Winker there, all over each other.
And we look a little bit further, well, back on the course, but up in the leaderboard. This is a big battle between Gonzalez, Stifel, and Steinbrink, all in the middle of GT4 traffic. How are they going to navigate their way around this one through 5A, 5B, and one driver's way off the course. I'm not sure who. It looks to be a GT4. Is that a beached GT3 back there? Oh, well,
yeah,
there's a different GT3 going off the course.
No one told me this is an off-road race.
We're just doing a little bit of rally crossing. There's a Porsche 911 GT3R without a hood. There's still the beach. Is that an Aston Martin? Yes, it is. Richard Langing.
Yeah, unfortunate there for those guys. This is definitely ending up being a bit of a an off-road adventure. No one told me it was four-wheeling, but yeah. Now, oh wow, okay, Porter just also dumped it in 5B, but he's managed to get off the racing line there before traffic arrived. We arrived at the mad minute, folks. We're at the part of this race where everyone's losing it. No one's hitting each other. I want to clarify that. No one's crashing into other cars. This is not racing incidents to worry about. These are all individual moments where this track is really catching the better of some people, I think.
Scott Andrews hits the pit lane. Not sure if that's a scheduled stop or not. The only other drivers in the GT3 field to hit the pit lane, well, was Tyler Guillemette. But now you can add Dustin Burkhalter to that list, but I don't think that's much of a scheduled pit stop there, Rachel, with the complete hood missing off of that Porsche 911. He's just going to grab a quick fast repair and maybe grab some fuel and be on his way.
Hey, might as well whilst you're there. Definitely an important thing to consider for this race. Make sure you've got that fuel and you can get that car fixed. Of course, this is for the enjoyment of the series, for the enjoyment of the racing. We're not here to have a serious, hardcore competition of, oh, you've been it, that's it, that's your next race next week. No, it's not what this is about. It's about the camaraderie and the enjoyment of the actual racing, and there's something these guys do incredibly well. Last week's one at Sonoma, I think, is a key example where one of the pros that finished the race helped push the open class leader to the victory after he ran out of fuel through turn 10. So he pushed you all the way around turn 11 and got him to the finish line, which was an amazingly honourable move there. Really loved seeing that happen. It was so sporting. Absolutely wonderful. But I guess some of these guys have, I think, decided that Canadian Tire Motorsport Park is the tank driving off-road course for this week, as everyone's trying to get Leopard 2s and Abrams through big piles of mud.
Well, the drivers that are staying on the gray stuff, you can see two of them here, Adam Poppenhaus and Greg Meismer, and Meismer has been doing an amazing job at closing that gap. I mean, last time by it was Admittedly, a little bit slower than Poppin' House, but that gap now down to 5 tenths. It was at 4 tenths before they went through 5A, 5B. Now here comes a Mercedes GT3 on by. But these GT4s, yes, one of them's or both of them in the beneficiary class as they continue to race. And I believe Meismer is supposed to be an open class driver, still showing up as a beneficiary, but it looks like he is one of the open class drivers.
Very much so, as coming through here. Traffic is still very, very heavy from what we're seeing. Lapping still continuing, but a lot of guys really getting some little scrums down here. Winker and I believe Knight are close together on racetrack there, as is Hogan and Smotherman just ahead of there, along with Haslett yet again. Up towards your pro class. Strick Steinbrink there with Wallace behind him. A little bit further forward. We're not seeing real clear closeness in your lead group, but they are dealing with traffic here, which is a major consideration for them. Rizikis' gap, 3.2 seconds now, then is another 10 back to Campbell. That is a pretty large gap for the top two.
Yeah, those top, well, now the top one, really considering to pull away. Liam Rizidis, so the 2.6 second gap. But then you also talk about Taylor Parsons. I mean, you have to talk about them when we're talking about this lead group, because, I mean, pulling away 2.5 seconds in the lead is also impressive, but you got to give a little bit of accolades to the second place driver, who is pulling away from third place to the tune of almost 10 seconds. I mean, yes, they're not catching the leader by a whole lot, but I mean, to put 10 seconds to the driver behind, that's still very, very impressive, as it becomes even more as here comes Rodney Campbell into the pit lane.
Yeah, Campbell down pit road here for service, as does a couple of cars behind him. The pros all pitting in now, it seems. I have to wonder if Rizikis will come down at some point soon. Campbell pitting there from 5th place overall. Well, folks, it's about halfway through this race, so it's come time for our beneficiary spotlight in tonight's race. And tonight, that is centered around Sergeant Retired Adam Poppenhouse Sr. Self-proclaimed fastest and best-looking member of the Resilience Racing Foundation. I wonder if that's actually got any citation behind that. Attended tank school at the School of Hard Knocks, Fort Knox, Kentucky, after joining the capitalized, I need to explain this here, real army in 2004. Now deployed with the 3rd Striker Brigade to Iraq in 2006, receiving the Purple Heart for injuries that resulted in the amputation of both legs. During the subsequent 3-year hospital staycation, he found a love for wrenches and racing, interning at a dyno tuning facility, and then competing in local NSAA and time attack events before attending the Mid-Ohio School, and eventually working for Richard Petty Driving Experience after settling in Vegas. Most recently having the honor of navigating in the Mint 400 for the 2nd time. Enjoys throttle therapy of all sorts, husband to his smoking hot yoga teaching wife Megan, his words, and proud father of 2 boys, Adam Jr., AJ, 6, and Senna, 3. Great name for a child there. Spent 2021 traveling the country in a motorhome as a family and seeing both oceans and the faces on the mountains. Becoming involved in resilient racing and Operation Motorsports has truly helped to reshape his passion, his post-separation life in a positive and exciting way. Being a part of the RRE team, smoking tyre, burning fuel, the real stuff and the virtual, that's his happy place. Recently, Adam received a full set of full hand controls for use in sim racing from Simability through Resilience Racing. In the Operation Motorsport E-Motorsport Season 5 opener, Adam used them to take pole position in the beneficiary class at Road America. Though that's not to say he wasn't fast before, he just thinks he's faster now. Adam is a great symbol of perseverance and adaptability. Well, there's one guy that absolutely likes to go fast, and I hate to imagine what he'd be like driving a striker if he's into racing that much. That'd be fun for the guys in the back. And I've had the pleasure of dealing with some APC drivers who thought they were Senna, at least the Ayrton variety. Either way, now coming through onto the field here, Rizikis coming through turn 10 here. Dealing with more lap traffic. The gap to Parsons really come down. Oh, got a bit of wobble behind them. Parsons passing that lap traffic, and it will get clear before turn 1. Multiple cars coming off pit road here as they circle around. Mason Smotherman now, because of pitting, is our class leader for the Open, with Brian Winker behind him, Rick Haslett in 3rd, Charles Michel in 16th. Elliott and Reed and then Winker are first of our beneficiaries, but we are seeing pitting. So that is, of course, absolutely going to be changing how these things run. We'll have to see where this one shakes out, Josh.
This is going to be a very, very interesting end to this race. With 11 minutes left, we can see pretty much everybody has pitted. The only drivers left are some stragglers in the GT4 field, but other than that, everybody in the GT3s is done with their pit stops. And when they both pitted around the same time. But Liam Ridzidis, pit lane time, 31.4, 12.7 in the box. Taylor Parsons, 30 seconds flat pit lane, 11 seconds flat in the box. So that was a big gap that has come down pretty much all on the pit lane by Taylor Parsons to get himself at least within striking distance. Now the question is, 1 second now separating the top two. Can he hold on?
We'll have to see if he can hold on, because there's still quite a lot of this one to shake through. Poppenhouse, of course, and those fantastic hand controls cycling through towards the lead again here. He's up front for the beneficiaries behind Smotherman and Elliott in your open class. Those two, I don't believe, have actually been another off-roader there, trying to dig some trenches in the grass on the outside of turn 2. Love to see them pull that one out, but these guys are really, really enjoying the off-road experience here. Maybe it's more comfortable than the asphalt.
Well, it depends on what car you're in. I mean, if we're talking about rally cars, maybe off-road trucks, maybe. I don't know about the GT3s and GT4s. You might not enjoy the grass nearly as much.
Maybe Motorsport just wants them to cut the grass for them, and this is them doing a favor.
Free lawn mowing service, I like it.
Absolutely. Well, out front, Ruzicka still leading the way here. The gap 1.1 now down to Parsons, where it was last lap by. Will have opened up a little bit this time through. Ruzicka's really making short work of all this traffic compared to the other cars here. He has really managed to chop that one down, and I think that's the difference here between him and Parsons, Josh. He really can handle that traffic a little better.
Yeah, that's all Liam Ridzidis is really doing right now. I mean, honestly, once they're out of traffic, like about right now for a good example, last time by, Parsons was 3.5 tenths quicker. So when they're not dealing with that too much traffic, Parsons might have an opportunity to close that gap. But once they reach traffic, Ridzidis is doing a good job at navigating through it, a little bit better than the 620. So that could be the difference maker in who's going to end up winning this race when the final 9 minutes are over.
Absolutely, I think Ruzicka wants there to be a little bit more traffic here. That would be a big benefit for him, I think. As we've now seen Mason Smotherman pit in. He's dropped back. Jesse Elliott leads the open class as before, with Adam Poppenhouse in second place there. Elliott in turn 9. Poppenhouse entering 8. So there's a bit of a gap there between those two, but of course they are running different races, even though they are in the same car. So it does seem to be a general combined race between the GT4 classes. I think, Joshua, we tend to see the guys competing with each other on a very equal footing. So right now, Elliott is definitely having a good crack.
A great lead for him as well. I mean, 6.5 seconds now, maybe even about 7 seconds. A good run for Jesse Elliott, choosing the Aston Martin. Top 4 as we have another GT3 off. Not sure who. I believe it was Josh Schneider that just went off. That wouldn't be a GT3, that'd be a GT4, but I'm 99% sure it was him. Well, he's off anyway. And going spinning through the grass.
Well, commentator's curse strikes there. Unfortunate.
So in fairness, my timing did say Josh Schneider off track. I didn't know if it was the person we saw off track. I just happened to click on him and he was also off track. There's another GT4 off track.
Yep, they do seem to enjoy it.
Oh my goodness, and GT3s are wrecking.
Oh, let's get a look back at what exactly happened there. That was a weird one.
That was third place, Rodney Campbell, I think.
Oh, Campbell, it was.
Let's grab that
Campbell
replay.
did. He comes around on the inside, tracks wide, catches some dirt, back end loops on him, and gets dumped, unfortunately, there by the 58 with nowhere to go. That is unfortunately Brock Hogan, beneficiary driver of the GT4. Didn't have a line to go. He was hoping to make it past there, but with the car on the wide outside, the 33 again, he had nowhere to go.
There's a lot happening there for like 1 minute at one portion of this pretty large racetrack too. That was a lot happening right there.
Yeah, definitely here, but Now we'll see them pull it through. Lots of heavy traffic around where Campbell is right now. Super busy on the racetrack. This is LA traffic here rather than Bowmanville, Ontario.
And here comes Martin Wallace to try and battle with Campbell now. 3/10 separating these two as they go through one, and right by the GT4 traffic he goes. How about Joe Stifel? I mean, he's at the front of this group, but take a look at that gap. It's only within a few tenths now as we've got 3rd, 4th, and 5th in the pro class, the GT3s, all right on each other's bumpers.
Yeah, very much, and we'll see them pull it through, but cool, got to give each other room here, guys. With how much people have been spinning, you're not going to be winning if you keep that close to each other because things can go horribly wrong. Might as well back up towards the rear of Poppenhaus here. Or at least in position, about 3-4 seconds back. They're looking at the timing. Rizikis' gap's actually pulled out here. It's still in the, well, come down to 1.2, but it feels like he's holding that ground, at least time-wise. We've got 5 minutes left, and again, more traffic for him to handle. He clears it really quickly. And oh, the door closed there, unfortunately, on Stifel. As another car goes around, Dustin Burkhalter. Oh, that's another wall to hit.
That was a harsh hit to the inside wall. Was he the Porsche earlier that also lost the hood and came in to get the fast repair? He just did the same thing?
Yes, I believe he is.
Well, he couldn't escape the loss of hood there, even with the fast repair.
No, unfortunately he couldn't, but at least it's the trunk, not the actual hood.
Yep.
Very
Lead gap, the
confusing
GT3 is back to only about 3/10 here, Rachel.
Yeah, absolutely. It is right down here. So that will make things a bit more spicy for our final run here. Less than 5 minutes to go now. And these guys really keeping this one honest. Poppenhaus and Meismer's gap, it's not changed much, unfortunately. He has a gap to Elliott up front of the GT4s there. Coming up now, Rizikis trying to hold off Parsons. He just needs more traffic, I think, Josh. I think that's exactly what he wants to see. More lap cars to get around and be lucky and really get a good line here because Parsons wants this.
Oh, that was another car off. Was that? I don't know who that was. Tyler Guillemette just made a pass on
33.
Mario Gonzalez. 33? Oh, so Josh Schneider again.
Correct.
Every time I'm like questioning who a driver off track is, it's Josh Schneider, and that's definitely not throwing a shot at Josh Schneider. I'm just saying that every time I don't know who it is, it just happens to be him.
Yeah, it's the yellow and green paint scheme of Josh Schneider there in the 33 car. Unfortunate of him. A couple of these have been him getting out of the way of the GT3 cars, to be fair. So in his defense, that has mostly been him just getting off to avoid them. So it's a fair thing, but it's just unfortunate timing for the poor guy. Parsons and Taylor still super close here. Another car off the track, actually, there as they go past them. Bassmore getting out of the way. Elliott, Poppenhaus, and Meismer still really far apart, honestly. No real closeness for those guys. We look a bit further back. Haslett and Winker have even split up there. All of our GT4 cars have separated. We're going to keep our eyes down here, as I believe they have. I could be wrong. I am wrong, so we'll keep our eyes here on Parsons and Rizikis, as they are really our closest battle.
3/10 separating Stifel and Campbell 3rd and 4th, but now with more GT4 traffic, here comes Parsons back to try and fight for this race win. It looks like we've got about 3 laps to go. I don't think they're going to get the white flag this time by. If that clock is going to be under about 1:14, we'll see the white flag, but at this point, when they're about done with the back straightaway, I don't think we're going to get there exactly just yet. So expect 2 laps to go this time by, and Rizikis on that straightaway alone just put a decent gap over Taylor Parsons with no lap traffic in the foreseeable future for this group. Maybe 1 GT4 up ahead for Liam Rizikis, but he's going to grab 2 to go this time by, right back into turn 1.
We'll have to see there as we're just trying to hold this down. Gap's widened up slightly from what we saw, but it's going to be coming down to the wire here, 136. So we should see another lap after this one. We should get white flag, I believe, this time by. Although we might not. It's going to be close, I think. But yeah, it should be white flag this time round. We'll have to see whether or not we can see a change from that. But looking down here, to what do we see? No, Poppenhouse, Elliott still very separated. Meismer as well. Behind lap cars, he is. Parsons, though, he's not quite as close as he could. Trying.
In seventh, having to go middle 3 wide. That was Smotherman on the right side. Scott Andrews is going to go off the racing line into the grass. Another GT3 joins him along with another GT4. As everybody gets back to the tarmac, Scott Andrews went for a bit of a ride after going 3 wide with Guillemette, and I believe it was Smotherman that went on the right side.
Yeah, well, that was the 021 that decided to change lanes in the middle of your leader there coming up the line. But Tyler Reed's retired, we just found out. Gap's really down here, but there's a lot of lap traffic here. Rosickas took advantage of this. This is our white flag, I believe, yeah?
It should be white flag right about now.
Yeah, it should be. We're running that time down here, but oh, so much traffic. The gap now between Rosickas and Parsons is so small here on the track. So close. Coming through on the entry to turn 5A. Look at how busy this is. Oh my gosh. Great exit though, and it's hobble. Oh, goes wide but holds it. Hobbled line there for Parsons, manages to hang on.
Back down the back straightaway. White flag out. Clock expired. 8/10 between the two, and I don't think Parsons gonna have enough time to get the pro win here, Rachel. I think it's going to end up being Liam Rosickas through the final few corners.
Yeah, I think it is. He just got the great runs there with the traffic, and as we've seen all race, Rosickas really managed the traffic very well here, coming out that final corner, and will come out of 10 to win here at Mosport. Behind him, Elliott is just out of 5B, out of Moss. Coming up the Andretti straight now. A nice, relaxing run. He's going to stay wide there to get out of the way of a GT3 car. No real worry time-wise behind him. His competition's Mason Smotherman just coming out of Moss as he's now nearly at turn 8. Adam Poppenhouse running up Andretti as well for your beneficiary spot class here, and also your spotlight tonight. So your beneficiary spotlight is also going to be a winner for the beneficiary class, hopefully, if he doesn't jinx it in 3 corners.
Don't
Elliott
you dare,
now
Rachel.
Out of 10. I promise not to. Elliott out of 10 will come across the line to win the open class, and Poppenhouse now through one more corner, turn 10. I can't possibly jinx it, really, could I? Maybe? No, it doesn't work that way. Comes out of 10 and comes across the line there to win for your beneficiaries. Fantastic run there by those guys, as we are now across the line here at the very end of this race. No real more battles for us to cover in that one, unfortunately. But we are going to do a quick flip across to a video, one of the Remember Them interviews with Jennifer Bernstein, and then we'll come back with your race results and interviews. Don't go anywhere.
Hello, this is Jason with Operation Motorsport. We'd like to introduce you to some of our beneficiaries who were active during the GT World Challenged SRO race at New Orleans Motorsport Park this past weekend.
This weekend I've been working with Steve over on GT4 and with Charlie over on the TC cars, doing the tech inspections for them, checking the ride height, weight, camber, and also the tire pressure and things like that. When they come back from the races, then the top 3 or top 5, depending on the class, have to come through and get everything checked all over again to make sure that they ran the race within the regulations. Sometimes we have to pull some parts and measure those. It all depends on what comes down from the technical director. Operation Motorsport has actually done a lot for me in a really short period of time. It's pretty amazing to feel part of a team again and like have some kind of a purpose. It's really, really amazing. And the value for me, at least, it goes way beyond just like, oh, it's very cool that I'm learning how to do ride height on cars. Like, that is absolutely not like the main value for me. You feel like you got some worth, man. Worth something. You know what I mean? I don't know. And here, I feel like I can contribute. I mean, it's not a big contribution, but it doesn't matter. You know, even in the military, somebody's got to get the food ready. You know what I mean? So I can help here. I can do stuff. I can learn stuff. People are patient. Nobody acts like I'm stupid if I ask a silly question. I'm learning, you know? And it feels really nice to be somewhere where I can learn something that I'm actually interested in and feel part of a team and like there's people I can count on, things like that. Well, I think so. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's done a lot for me.
On Remembrance Veterans Day weekend, November 2022, Operation Motorsport is returning to Anglesey Circuit, Wales, United Kingdom to compete in the 12-hour Race of Remembrance. This event allows our beneficiaries to compete as a team, shoulder to shoulder, with other veterans and racers. We want to use this opportunity to honor your hero service. And for a $25 donation, we will place your hero's name on the hood of our race car. 100% of the donations received will be used to support our Race of Remembrance operation. Help us honor 500 heroes and donate today.
They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn them. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them.
Welcome back to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park here with our results from this third round. Well, Liam Rizikas takes the win in your pro class with Taylor Parsons in second, Joe Stiffel in third, with Rodney Campbell fourth, Martin Wallace in fifth, Tyler Gomet there in sixth. Seventh is Mario Gonzalez, with Scott Andrews in eighth, Ed Nelson ninth, and Jake Steinbrink in 10th. 11th place will be Dustin Burkhalter, with Jesse Elliott for the open class win in 12th, Adam Poppenhouse with the beneficiary class win in 13th. His open classes Greg Meismer 14th, Mason Smotherman, Brian Winker and Rick Haslett, with pro class Jason McSparron in 18th. Then it's beneficiaries Brock Hogan and John Winker 19th and 20th. And behind them it is going to be 21st Open Thomas Outson. Beneficiary Brian Knight in 22nd, Charles Burchell and Jake Porter for Open in 23rd, 24th. Beneficiaries Philippe Chartier and Josh Schneider in 25th, 26th. And 27th through 29th, David Holly, Richard Lanning, and Tyler Reed from the open class, with Elliot Whitfield in 30th. Behind them, Dan Fendrick and Joshua O'Connor, open and beneficiary respectively, and Val Asieno in 33rd and last for the open class after a retirement. Well, we've got time for our interviews now, as we're going to get a chance to, hopefully, to our winner from tonight, Adam Poppenhouse. Adam, that was interesting. It seemed like there was a lot of debris off the track. You were a tank, correct? Adam, do we have you? We seem to have a little bit of technical issues with Adam Poppenhouse. We're going to hopefully get a chance to chat to him in just a second here. As we're going to quickly chat to our second place runner tonight, Greg. Is it Meismer?
Yes, nailed it. Perfect.
Nailed it. Awesome. I love it when I get it right first time. Greg, fantastic run tonight. Second place here in the beneficiary class. What seemed to be an incredibly busy track tonight?
Say that last part again. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Seemed to be a very busy track tonight, rather cluttered.
Yes, it was pretty busy. The GT3s came up on us pretty fast, and it was pretty steady traffic all race.
It did seem that way. Pretty hectic out there. With the big speed difference between your GT4s and the GT3s of the Pro class, was that a factor?
Not really with this group. They passed at good passing opportunities. They didn't really affect our race too much. So big shout out to those guys.
Awesome. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to or thank tonight?
Yes, everybody with my team, including Martin Wallace here with us today, Bob, Kyle, everybody at ZFG, Greg Harris. The list goes on and on with the team, but thanks for the team support. Awesome race today.
Awesome, glad to hear it. And before we let you go, what branch do you represent?
I was in the Marine Corps for 3 years.
Marines. Well, some points on the board for the Marines tonight. And you get them on the scoreboard here, ahead of Navy. You'll be happy to hear.
Awesome. Thank you. I'd also like to give a shout out to Camp Hope and the PTSD Foundation of America in Houston, Texas. They're doing a lot of good work for combat veterans down there. So give them a good old Google search.
Do you have an address or a website for them at all?
I believe it's camphope.com or ptsdfoundation.org. I can't remember the website off the top of my head.
It should be fine. People know how to use Google, I think. Go check those out, folks, and see if there's anything you can do to help support them. Thank you for joining us tonight. Gregory Meissner coming home today in second.
Thank you so much.
Gonna get a chance to chat to you, Adam Poppenhouse, this time. Second time's the charm. Adam, do we have you?
Yes.
Awesome. Fantastic. Adam, great race tonight. We were just talking to Greg about how busy the track seemed tonight, but you were a tanker, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Well, it seems like everyone was trying to do the off-road assault course tonight.
Yeah, I did see. I saw some tire tracks out in the grass. The maintenance crew is going to have their work cut out for them. But man, it was a busy track. I think we had 32 or 33 cars out there, so there was no dull moments and there was no time to relax. So if it was a pretty wild little sprint race, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we've generally seen this season, it's been basically a two-class race. We've had the GT3s, the GT4s, with the beneficiaries in the open class really racing each other just as equally as the open class would amongst each other. Has that been something you guys are actively doing this season? Are you seeing them as equal on-track competitors rather than a separate race?
I think there's because of this league and how respectful everybody is with the different classes. I think, there's kind of a gentleman's agreement that we're giving each other in the separate classes a little bit of more space so they can try to battle with some of their guys. But all of that goes out the window when you start talking about the podium. Those are bragging rights, and I don't care what color's on your bumper. If you're in first place, I'm coming after you.
Fair enough. That's one way to put it around. Yeah, it doesn't really matter at all, does it? Is this a track you particularly like or dislike?
CTMP is kind of a love-hate for me. I've seemed to qualify well here as long as I can put in a clean run, but I've struggled with consistency in the past, and so I'm really happy with the way things went today and to my house and try it out. But on the easier side, non-joking, it has been such a life-changing experience for me. Not only getting back with the team and feeling kind of that brotherhood that I felt in the military, but really the challenge of not only advancing the technologies themselves and the physical applications, but also the limits of myself. And then comparing against the likes of some of these drivers in this series, it's been absolutely 100% life-changing and gratifying. And I really can't thank Resilience Racing, Operation Motorsports, and everybody that puts these streams on, because this is really, truly my happy place, and I have found a wonderful group that is helping me, chase my dreams and advance these adaptive controls. So it's worth a shot. It's worth the time. It's worth the investment. But reach out to Resilience Racing or Operation Motorsports, and we'll get you spun up.
Awesome. Well, you heard it from him there. So thank you, Adam Poppenhouse, coming home today with the win again. So that's a few rounds for you now. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, we'll see you next time, hopefully. Well, next up, of course, will be VIR for this Operation Motorsport series, and we'll have a good one with that, we hope. Don't forget, Operation Motorsport is a veteran-led and operated not-for-profit based in Brighton, Ontario and Raleigh, North Carolina, serving both Canadian and American service members and veterans, and was founded on the basis of 3 simple words: excite, engage, and empower. The premise is to engage ill and injured service members and veterans affected by military service through motorsport activities to aid in their recovery and rehabilitation. To find out more information, please visit operationmotorsport.org. Thank you to the series partners of the Operation eMotorsport iRacing League, iRacing, and the USO of North Carolina. For Jason Leach, Diesel Loader, Chris Ramirez, and the entire Operation Motorsport team. For Ryan Bauer, Gary Sexton, John Theodore at Podium Esports, camera builder Dougie Beard, Cameron Oberon on social media, and my colleague this evening, Joshua Lee, both producer and commentator. Double work for him. I'm your host, Rachel Whiteford. Thank you very much for watching tonight's broadcast of the Operation eMotorsport iRacing League. We wish you a good night.